U.S. Senator David Vitter joining us here live in the WDSU studios this morning. The one person squaring off against Edwards. You know, we just talked about you securing 23% of the vote. You know, early on in this race, a lot of people thought that you would garner that 40%, but the tables kind of turned a little bit with Edwards getting that.
Well, we were never near 40%. We had two very credible Republican opponents, and we were attacked by 8 campaigns and organizations, literally 8 campaigns and other organizations all put together. So I think at the end of the day, after withstanding that, we were doing great. On the other hand, John Bel Edwards, I honestly think he underperformed. You know, Mary Landrieu, after all of the attacks against her, after everything was said about her, she got 42% last year in the primary. John Bel didn't quite get to 40%. So I feel absolutely great where we are going into the runoff. Almost 60% of voters rejected the Edwards-Obama vision for the state, which is a lurch to the left. So I feel great about where we are.
Well, you know, it was also a pretty chaotic week for you, kind of leading up to the election. A lot of things came out, most recently with the new interview featuring a woman claiming that you guys were involved in a sexual relationship. Now, we should add that she has changed her story from 8 years ago and now claims that you fathered a child with her. So what is your response to that?
Randy, as you know, that is a completely false and discredited story. And I'll be honest with you, I think it's irresponsible to talk about it in major media because it's completely false and discredited, and for that reason major media has not reported on it. There's a reason they haven't. So we're focused on the future of the state, getting the state out of the ditch, turning Louisiana around.
So you can say that you weren't ever involved in a sexual relationship with Wendy Ellis?
Randy, you should know that. I've said that over and over, and that story has been factually discredited. So anybody who does their homework would know that.
But you did admit to a serious sin back in 2007.
Yeah, I did, and that has nothing to do with this story.
Okay, well then less than 24 hours from those voters heading to the polls, a man who was working for a private investigator that your campaign employed was arrested, accused of spying on the Jefferson Parish Sheriff and also a supporter of John Bel Edwards. We heard from your camp, but not so much from you. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, we told the media everything we know about the incident. He was arrested for a misdemeanor, not spying, and any notion that he was spying is ridiculous. He was in a coffee shop. He wasn't wiretapping anyone. He was in a coffee shop.
So as you move forward with your political campaign, kind of where do you draw the line here? You know, where does good politicking end and dirty politicking begin?
Well, where I draw the line is what's good for the future of Louisiana and how we talk about the issues to move Louisiana forward. I'm not going to be distracted by this complete BS. We're going to get Louisiana out of the ditch, move it forward with clear Louisiana solutions. That is not Barack Obama leftist policies. And when you look at John Bel Edwards' record, his concrete record, what he's done, what he's voted for, what he said when he went to the Democratic National Convention in 2012, how he enthusiastically endorsed President Obama's re-election, personally renominated him after the experience of the first term, after Obamacare, after 98,000 Louisiana families lost their health insurance that they wanted to keep, after the drilling moratorium shut down the Gulf. That presents a very clear contrast. We're going to get Louisiana out of the ditch with strong Louisiana solutions, not Barack Obama solutions.
Yeah, speaking of those ties to Barack Obama, you know, you've been mentioning that about John Bel Edwards, his record. A lot of his positions, though, anti-abortion, some of the gun control laws, not being for Common Core, very similar to yours. So how do you set yourself apart from him?
You can't say you're anti-abortion when you enthusiastically endorse Barack Obama. He is the leading proponent.
But you could also argue that one of his leading campaign commercials was the one featuring his wife where...
Oh, he's trying to distance himself big time, but you can't say you're anti-abortion when you're enthusiastically supporting Barack Obama.
But that is what he's saying, so how do you separate yourself from the two?
Well, I'm trying to answer. You can't say you're for Second Amendment rights when you're enthusiastically supporting Barack Obama. And then on issue after issue after issue, he has the same positions. He's against welfare reform and has voted that way so many times when I've led the fight for welfare reform. He's actively supported major elements of Obamacare. I'm not talking about Medicaid expansion, but major elements, the same elements that threw 98,000 Louisiana families off the health insurance they wanted to keep. And that's his concrete record. And so I think voters are going to be presented with a very clear difference. We need to get Louisiana out of the ditch. We're not going to do that by adopting those leftist policies of Barack Obama and John Bel Edwards. We need a Louisiana way, and we can do that with good Louisiana common sense and sound leadership.
Now, of course, a lot of folks are a little skeptical of Republicans following the Jindal administration. A lot of cuts to higher education, cuts to health care. You know, what would you do to try and get our state back on track? And would we as taxpayers have to foot some of that bill?
Well, we need to start on the spending side. You know, to hear most politicians, including John Bel Edwards, talk about it, all of the issues are on the tax side. There's nothing we can do on the spending side. That's ridiculous. There's plenty we can do, and I've listed detailed proposals about how we're going to start on the spending side. I'll give you one example. State of Louisiana has 10,800 state vehicles. Costs the state taxpayer $232 million. Thousands of those are unnecessary. Another example, we have all sorts of consulting contracts, billions of dollars. Many of those are for goods and services we don't need, we can't afford. Others are for things state employees are supposed to be doing. We can have major, major savings there. So a conservative is going to start there on the spending side, not immediately go to higher taxes. John Bel Edwards talked about tax expenditures. That's code. Everybody knows that's liberal code for higher taxes are on the way, and that's been his consistent record.
And he's also said that he is for that Medicaid expansion, trying to take some more of that money into the state, which we really could use for health care. But are you for that, or are you against that?
Well, it depends on the circumstances. I'm not going to do it on Barack Obama's terms, which is what John Bel Edwards has said he would do. Randy, as you know, that takes state money. That's not just money falling from the sky. It takes a state match. And if we don't have a strong, realistic plan about how to come up with that state match, guess what? We're just digging the hole deeper. We're just cutting higher ed again. John Bel Edwards has not presented that plan. The plan he pushed in the legislature will not cover all of those increased state costs. So in that scenario, we'd be digging the hole deeper. I'm not going to expand Medicaid on Barack Obama's terms. We're going to only look at that under strong Louisiana terms that would be responsible. That's another clear difference between us in terms of how we go into the future. Another clear difference related to that is I have said would only do it if we have meaningful work requirements for able-bodied folks. We don't need to increase the disincentive to work. It's already too high. We need work requirements for able-bodied folks. John Bel Edwards has opposed that consistently. He would rush into Medicaid expansion without ever negotiating or talking about that with the Obama administration.
U.S. Senator David Vitter, thank you so much for waking up early, joining us here for WDSU, giving some insight onto how your campaign is moving forward.